Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling, well, probably the biggest question there is. What's the point of any of this? It's this huge, universal question, right? It's been on our minds for as long as we've been around. And lucky for us, we've got a fantastic guide to help us navigate it, philosophy itself.
Okay, so let's just dive right into the deep end. Are we here for a reason? Is there some grand design? Or are we, just kind of floating through a vast silent universe? I mean, that's the kind of thought that can really keep you staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m. It feels like looking into this massive empty void. And yeah, that's a pretty heavy feeling. But here's the cool thing about philosophy. It doesn't just drop that question on you and walk away. It actually hands you some tools to start building an answer.
So, there are two major ways philosophy looks at this whole void thing. First up, you've got nihilism. And, well, nihilism is pretty blunt about it. It basically says, nope, no meaning, no purpose, no built-in value, nothing. It can feel like hitting a brick wall, right? A total dead end. But then there's absurdism. And this is where things get really interesting. Absurdists, like the famous philosopher Albert Camus, they kind of agree with the nihilists. They'll say, yeah, the universe doesn't care. It's silent. But the whole point for them is the conflict. It's this incredible, almost funny, and definitely heroic struggle of us humans, these meaning-seeking machines, shouting questions into a universe that never answers back.
So yeah, steering into that void, it can be totally paralyzing. You can just get stuck, but this is where philosophy really shines. It doesn't just leave you there, stranded. It's like, okay, here's the situation. Now, here are some toolkits. Here are some ways you can respond. The whole idea is that we don't have to be passive victims here. We get to be the architects of our own meaning. So let's open up that toolkit and check out a couple of the most powerful approaches people have come up with.
All right, our first tool. This one comes from a school of thought called existentialism. And let me tell you, this one is a real game changer. Why? Because it completely stops looking for meaning out there, somewhere in the cosmos. Instead, it turns right back to us and says, the power to create meaning, it's right here, in your hands.
So this is the absolute core idea. And it's a bit of a mind-bender. The philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre summed it up perfectly. Existence precedes essence. Okay, what on earth does that mean? Well, think about a paper knife. The person who made it had a plan, right? They knew its purpose, its essence, was to cut paper before they even made the thing. The idea came first. Existentialists argue that for us humans, that whole process is flipped upside down. We show up on the scene, we exist, with no instructions, no predefined purpose. Our essence, the very meaning of our lives, is something we have to create from scratch, choice by choice. But here's the catch. This kind of absolute freedom, it's heavy. It's a huge weight on our shoulders. In fact, Sartre went so far as to say we are condemned to be free. Condemned because you can't escape it. There's no one else to blame, no cosmic plan to fall back on. Every single choice, from what you do for a living to how you talk to the cashier at the grocery store, that's all on you. You are 100% responsible for the meaning you're building. And that idea, well, it can be both completely terrifying and incredibly empowering all at the same time.
And this is the really crucial part. This isn't just some high-level, abstract philosophical concept. Existentialism is incredibly practical. It's not about waiting for some big, life-changing moment to find your purpose. No, you build it in the small stuff, the day-to-day, the mundane. It's about seeing the freedom you have even in the simple act of making your morning coffee. Are you just going through the motions, or are you present? Are you making a choice? By being intentional, you can turn a boring routine into a tiny act of self-creation. It's about living authentically, making sure that the thousands of small things you do each day actually line up with the person you've decided you want to be.
Okay, so existentialism is all about creating meaning through our choices. That's great, but what about all the stuff we can't choose? All the curveballs life inevitably throws our way? Loss, sickness, things just not going our way? For that, we need another tool. And that brings us to Stoicism. This is an ancient Greek and Roman philosophy, and honestly, it's like a masterclass in how to build an unshakable fortress inside yourself. And this right here, this is the master key to the entire philosophy. It's called the dichotomy of control. And it's so simple, but so incredibly profound. You basically take everything in your life, and you sort it into two simple buckets: stuff you can control and stuff you can't. The Stoics believed that pretty much all of our anxiety, our frustration, our suffering, it comes from mixing up those two buckets. We spend so much time and energy trying to control things that are fundamentally outside of our control, like the weather, or traffic, or what other people think about us. The Stoics say, stop that. Your real power, your only power, lies in focusing 100% on that second bucket. Your own thoughts, your own judgments, your own actions. And let's be clear, Stoicism is not about becoming a robot or suppressing your emotions. Not at all. It's an active, daily training for your mind. It's a set of mental exercises. Like, for example, managing your expectations. This isn't about being a pessimist. It's about being a realist. You mentally walk through what could go wrong so that when it does, you're not shocked. You're prepared. Or embracing impermanence. Just accepting the fact that everything changes. Nothing lasts forever. When you truly accept that, you stop clinging so tightly to things and you find this incredible stability inside yourself. Then there's the big one, turning obstacles into opportunities. A Stoic sees a problem not as a disaster, but as a chance to practice courage, or patience, or wisdom. And finally, this famous one, memento mori. Remember, you will die. Sounds grim, right? But it's not. It's actually a tool for focus. It reminds you that your time is limited, so you'd better make the present moment count. It's a very practical set of tools for building that inner strength.
In this quote from Epictetus, a man who was literally born into slavery and became one of the most revered philosophers, it just sums up the whole thing perfectly. He's saying that the thing that happens to you, that's just a thing. It's neutral. The traffic jam, the rude comment, the failed project, they aren't inherently bad. Where the good or bad comes from is in your reaction, your judgment about it. That space between event and response, that is where your real power and freedom live.
Okay, so we've looked at two really different but really powerful ways of tackling this whole meaning of life question. Let's take a second to put them side by side and see how they fit into our philosophical toolkit.
You can really see the difference in their focus here. Existentialism is all about looking outward. It's a philosophy of creation. It's basically saying, hey, the world is a blank canvas. Go paint something. Your purpose is defined by the choices you make and the things you create. Stoicism, on the other hand, is all about looking inward. It's a philosophy of resilience. It says, look, storms are definitely coming, so you'd better build a good, strong shelter. Your experience of life is defined by how you respond to whatever comes your way.
And here's maybe the most important takeaway of all. You do not have to pick a side. These aren't competing teams. It's not existentialism versus stoicism. Think of them as two different tools that work together perfectly. You can use that creative, fiery energy of existentialism to decide what path you want to walk, what values you want to live by, what mountain you want to climb. And then you can use the rock-solid resilience of stoicism to give you the mental strength to actually walk that path and climb that mountain, especially when the going gets tough.
So we end up here with this really powerful, challenging idea. If what these philosophies are telling us is true, that meaning isn't some secret thing you find out there, like buried treasure, but that it's something you have to build yourself brick by brick, like a house, then maybe we've been asking the wrong question all along. Maybe the question isn't, what is the meaning of life? Maybe the real question, the one that truly matters, is, what will you build?